Something that will blow your mind in India, a newborn baby dies every 5 minutes due to air pollution. But the most polluted city isn't where you'd expect.
That's a devastating statistic. Where is the most polluted city then?
Well, it's actually this small industrial town called Burnihat, on the border of Assam and Meghalaya. But here's what's really concerning: the way India measures air quality is so different from international standards that what they consider moderate pollution would be classified as extremely poor in Europe.
So people might think their air is relatively safe when it's actually dangerous?
Exactly, and let me give you a quick example to show how serious this is. You know those PM2.5 particles we hear about? They're just 1/30th the width of a human hair, but they can get deep into your lungs and bloodstream. The WHO says these should be below 5 micrograms per cubic meter, but in most Indian cities it's way higher than that.
I've heard these particles are especially dangerous for children. What does the research show about that?
Oh man, the data is heartbreaking. Doctors are finding black deposits in children's lungs during surgery, something they used to only see in long-time smokers. And here's why kids are particularly vulnerable. They breathe in more air relative to their body weight than adults. Plus, they spend more time outdoors being active.
So what are the main sources of all this pollution? Let's break it down.
Well, here's an interesting practice question. What percentage of Delhi's air pollution comes from vehicles? Take a moment to guess.
Given all the traffic there, I'd say maybe around 30%.
Actually, it's even higher. Vehicles contribute to 47% of Delhi's pollution. And there's this fascinating geographical aspect too. The Himalayas create what experts call a valley effect, basically acting like a giant wall that traps polluted air in northern India.
That's really interesting about the geography. How do southern cities compare?
They actually have a natural advantage being surrounded by seas. Like, while Delhi's annual average PM2.5 concentration is 108 micrograms per cubic meter, Chennai's is only 26. But, and this is crucial, even Chennai's level is still 5 times higher than what the WHO considers safe.
Let's think about solutions. What would it take to create real change?
Here's another question to consider. How many buses do you think India has per 1,000 people? Take a guess.
Given the population density, maybe around 5 or 6?
Surprisingly, it's only 1.2 buses per 1,000 people. Compare that to developed nations with over 10 buses per 1,000 people. And here's the economic impact the World Bank estimates. India loses about $36.8 billion annually due to air pollution. That's 1.36% of its GDP.
Those numbers are staggering. Why isn't there more urgency to address this?
There's this really telling quote from a taxi driver who told Foreign Policy magazine, "No one votes on who will reduce pollution." The political discourse tends to focus on religious and identity issues instead. But here's the thing, air pollution doesn't discriminate. It's actually shortening lives in Delhi by nearly 12 years.
As we wrap up, what are the key takeaways people should remember?
Well, 3 main points. First, the problem is way worse than official numbers suggest. Second, it's not just a winter or North India problem, it's year-round and nationwide. And finally, the solutions are clear: better public transport, stricter industrial controls, and most importantly, political will to make these changes happen. Because right now, every breath counts literally.